Everywhere there's meaning.
Shit. Unaona hiyo shimo ya nini? Unapata watu wanatongozana hapo kwa shimo.
Vijana barubaru ndio wanafanya hiyo kazi, sio kazi rahisi. Wanataka wakutumie, like anakupatia mawe na yeye anataka lale na wewe ndio akupatie mawe.
So the resource that people have is a curse to the community.
Hawa wanaume anapoenda every site lazima apate mwanamke ambaye atakuwa anakupatia mawe, hautakuwa na kazi ngumu. Sasa inakuingizia kwenye sherati. Sex for gold.
Everywhere there's meaning. Everywhere there's meaning.
Shit. Unaona hiyo shimo ya nini? Unapata watu wanatongozana hapo kwa shimo.
Vijana barubaru ndio wanafanya hiyo kazi, sio kazi rahisi. Ndio akupatie mawe.
So the resource that people have is a curse to the community.
Hawa wanaume anapoenda every site lazima apate mwanamke ambaye atakuwa anakupatia mawe, hautakuwa na kazi ngumu. Sasa inakuingizia kwenye usherati. Sex for gold.
Everywhere there's meaning.
Shit. Unaona hiyo shimo ya
everywhere there's meaning.
Shit.
Unaona hiyo shimo ya nini? Unapata watu wanatongozana hapo kwa shimo.
Vijana barubaru ndio wanafanya hiyo kazi, sio kazi rahisi. Wanataka wakutumie, like anakupatia mawe na yeye anataka lale na wewe ndio akupatie mawe.
So the resource that people have is a curse to the community.
Hawa wanaume anapoenda every site lazima apate mwanamke ambaye atakuwa anakupatia mawe. Hautakuwa na kazi ngumu, sasa inakuingizia kwenye usherati. Sex for gold.
Hello and welcome to this episode of The Big Picture. The Big Picture, where humor meets depth. For this conversation, it's going to be one of those where you might need to grab up some water to drink mid-conversation just because of the weight of the conversation. But as of now, you might have seen our documentary that was just aired on Nation last night, and it was also published by Uncensored around 7 days ago. It's called Sex for Gold. The documentary is about a gold mine in Siaya, an artisanal gold mine in Siaya, where women's bodies are being traded for gold ores. And that documentary, that subject, those women and the things that they go through, is going to be the topic for discussion today. I'm your lead co-host for the evening. My name is Tom Mukwana. I'm a reporter here at African Censored, and as usual, every week I do this with my co-host.
Justine Wanda. Hi guys. I know there's no response, but I like doing that just so in case someone is typing in the comments. Yeah.
But Justine, you've not sold Ujuza Sarah. Justine is a comedian, she's also a satirist, and she's a human rights activist, and she's my co-host, most importantly. Now, we have two guests in studio today. First, Chris Owala. Chris is a human rights and environmental activist. He prefers that title first, but I'll throw in a second one. He works for an organization called Community Initiative Action Group Kenya, and he's the executive director there. They do a lot of work nationally, but for this conversation, he's going to speak about his work in Siaya County. And to my far left is the representative for the Easter Lego Award, the member of County Assembly representing that ward. Her name is Mercedes Mado. She's also the chair of the Women Caucus at the Siaya County Assembly. She sponsored a very interesting bill that was passed. It's the first widow protection bill of the county, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's the first one nationally as well.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, interesting. It will also take center stage in this conversation at some point. But first, let's set the stage, ladies and gentlemen. Siaya, a lot of mining is happening in Kenya, and we ran a poll today asking people if they know of mining of gold in the country anywhere. And interestingly, around 33% of them said they don't know that mining even happens in the country, which shook me because it's not new news that people die in mines. So Chris, could you define what kind of mining happens?
Where?
Siaya.
Great. Thanks, Tom. I think as people have enumerated, and you're right so by saying that people don't understand their surrounding because they don't understand what wealth they have within themselves. And if you look at Siaya across, if you were to narrow in Siaya, there are gold that happens, but beyond gold, there are other minerals that also accompany gold. And the one that is known widely is gold. And gold has dotted everywhere in Siaya. Siaya has got 6 sub-counties, and nearly in each of the sub-counties, if you start with the Lego Songa, southeastern Lego, where Mercedes comes from, is dotted with the gold everywhere. Children die, even school students, when the schools are closed, they go there, they die in those mining. If you get into northern Lego, the same thing. If you get into Township Ward, the minerals are there. If you get into the other side of game, east-west game, the central game, south game, north game, all over they're happening. If you get to Gunja, if you get to Sidindi Ward, if you get to the entire, that area, if you look at the map of Siaya County, if it's put on the table here, you'll get everywhere there's mining of gold. And this mining is causing untold suffering. And what I wanted to check is to maybe paraphrase is that the narrative that's being peddled that they are artisan miners is false, because they are big people who are pushing this agenda. They are pushing those young people called artisan, but they are standing with the big money behind them. So that those people are sent, they occupy even circles that are registered in the name of the community. Yeah. They are the people running those circles. by pumping money. So it's not artisan. That's why I wanted to.
You're getting to the meat of the conversation. You're getting to the exact reason why we should have this debate between both of you. I want you, Mercedes, to describe how the mining happens, because he says that it's mostly powerful people behind the artisans.
Yeah.
How do these artisans mine the gold?
Thank you very much, and I really appreciate this forum to speak about the gold mining in Siaya. As you rightly said, I represent a ward called Southeast Alego Ward. It's actually the largest ward in Siaya County. I'm a first-time legislator, and until I got to work, I didn't know the magnitude of gold mining in my own ward. And I can tell you, like you said, when I got in, I realized actually that gold mining is the highest employer of my people, of our people in Siaya. The number of people that depend on gold mining, it's so high. But at the same time, I was so shocked at the way mining is done. It's done in a very haphazard manner. No regulations, no safety measures. So when I just got into office, before I even got into office, when I was campaigning, a number of times I had to attend funerals of young men, young women who died in the process of gold mining. And I was concerned. I said, how do we send our people, our young people, for that matter, out there to do dangerous work, to do the work that they depend on for their livelihood? So it's important to the government. It should be important to the government that this is where our people are getting their livelihood, and therefore we should make it safe. I started going back and finding out who should be responsible for their safety. And in there is a lot of opaqueness. There are a lot of hush. No one will tell you the truth. You ask who is the owner, how does it happen? You go to a homestead and people are living there, and for some reason, somehow someone discovered that there's gold in the compound. There's no regulation. The next day people just come in there and they start digging and go underground with no safety measures, no safety equipment, no safety material when they go in there. And accidents happen. But these people who are working very hard in those mines, they end up getting very little. The work is back-breaking. Apart from the risk factor is very high. It's back-breaking, very risky. The process is long. You don't even know. It starts with digging the sand in the hole in the shaft, getting it out. It is prioritized. It is put in sacks, in bags. There are people who then crush it into finer dust. There are those who clean it. There's some manual machine that does the cleaning. There's some mercury in it. It's complex. It's a big industry. And I was surprised that the government isn't interested in this industry. And I'm surprised that there's no revenue that is collected, that there's no regulation. The problem is that mining is not devolved. It's not a devolved function in the county. So I go back to the county and say, what do we do? And they said, oh, mining is a national government activity. It is one of the functions under the national government, and therefore regulations come and all these safety measures come from the national government. Yeah. And I did, because I was concerned about my people. I went and followed up with the national office. The national office, the regional office is in Kisumu.
Chris,
I called.
Is it true?
Yes.
Well, yeah, what you're saying is true. Mining is not a fully devolved function.
Yes.
But is it true, Chris, that the county assembly, I understand it's that it's contained the amount of effect you guys can have.
Yes.
But is it true, Chris, that there isn't room for...
I think what Madam is saying is running away from some truth, because if you look at the cooperative circles, the cooperative circles are registered by the counties. And all this mining, the so-called miners, are registered under Cooperative Act, which is a devolved function. Two, county government collect revenues from these spots where the mining happens. You know, when you collect a revenue from an illegal business, which means you are perpetuating an illegality.
Yes.
The reality, what could have happened, county government could have stopped collecting the revenues and tell them, ship up, follow the order. Because when county government come out with a receipt and the revenue people goes there to collect revenue, is authenticating an illegality, is in a way dancing on the death of those young people. Because county government, the business, say, you are our people, stop this, regulate it, because SACCOs are registered under rules and regulation. If you go out of the regulation, you will be deregistered. So county government has a duty, as much as it's a national government function, county government has a duty, first duty is to protect its citizens.
True.
By making sure that the business they are doing are of sound mind and the business they are doing are protecting the resident. Because when I come and collect revenue from you, I have a duty to make sure that your working condition is safe.
Sure.
So if the county doesn't want to do that, then the county government has failed in their duty. The national government also, we have what we call the cooperation. They are distinct. The national government and county government is distinct in their function, but their cooperation, their partnership, there are things they can do together.
Together, true.
So when this county government realize there's something is wrong, they can pause and tell, oh, this mining is happening in our area. Can we have a round table?
Yes.
Can we make sure that the citizens are protected? But what is happening is that we thrive in chaos. The chaos enable, because what Mheshimiwa not want to admit is that there have been some governors from other regions, or even former governors, that are invested in this mining in Siaya. And they are doing partnership with friends. So they don't want to be touched because they are either the political affiliation is the same or the friendship of the governor is the same. So they come and invest in Siaya, send our people to die there. But beyond this, there are Chinese investing in mining in Siaya. Where do they get the licenses? They are the county government give them trading licenses. As much as you get the permit,
License, yeah.
you get the permit,
From the
but you also doing business day to day, the county government takes usuru from you.
Okay, then I think my question to you, Mercedes, then
Yes.
what does it mean to coordinate between the national government and the county government so that what Chris is saying so clearly is, if I'm the one giving you the license to operate, I should at least know the extent of your business so that you're not endangering the county members. Is there a coordination framework between the national government and the county government, or does that not exist because people are trying to pass money under the table so that no one actually cares about the residents?
Thank you. Let me just pick it up from where Chris has said that there are big players, there are small players, there are middle players in this. And the big players play right. They've got their licenses from the national government. The small players don't have anything. And actually my experience in my ward is with the small guys who just wake up in the morning and one day there's gold and everybody's running and there's an owner and there's a landlord. Suddenly you become a landlord and you are told these are the terms. You don't even know what terms are. There are people who dictate the terms. You don't know them. But they are big players. I agree. They are big players. Even now there's controversy in South Game about the big players, the Chinese who want to come in and extract big gold because they've discovered there's big deposits of gold in that area. Yeah. And that's good business. If it's regulated, that is good. There's nothing wrong with gold mining if it's regulated and if it's safe. The problem is that if it's not safe, we have a problem. I agree with him that as a county, whether it's a national government, whether it's not a devolved function, but it's affecting our people, we must find ways to work together. Yeah. And we must find ways to sit together. I am sitting in the county assembly, and this is has been a concern and is brought to our attention as legislators that we need to sit down together with the national government and come up with regulations that are going to oversee the entire mining business. Big time. There's big money getting out of Siaya. We don't even know how much it is. And there's a committee that is responsible, and I can speak authoritatively that committee has actually, before we went on recess, we had a schedule of the legislators going out on fact-finding missions, and this video has come out at documentary video has come out at the right time when we have scheduled already to start doing something about it, so that we sit with the national government and say, identify where the problems are for both cadres. You can imagine it reached a point where I, as the legislator, had to go and buy helmets from my pocket for my people. I went and told them, look, this is dangerous. Every time people are dying, young people. In fact, these days, they even cover up. When people die now, they don't want to expose it that people have died in the mines, because they know there'll be hue and cry.
Mercedes.
Yes.
I'm just looking here at a petition on illegal and irregular gold mining activities in Siaya County.
Yes.
This is a public participation forum that was supposed to happen in August 2024. Yes. And the county seems to be well aware of the environmental damages, the deaths in the mines. But now this is 2 years on. Is there any goodwill, political goodwill? Because it all ends there. Is there political goodwill to solve this problem?
Yes. And the one I'm aware of is not for 2025. The one I'm aware of, which was postponed because it happened before we went for the recess, was in 2025, not 2024. So maybe there was an update. The one I'm aware of through the committee of the House, which is the Environment Committee, was in 2025.
The title reads Extension of Period for Public Engagement and Call for Memorandum on Irregular Gold Mining Activities in Siaya, which is an indication that the wards all the way to the county government leadership are aware of the problem. But let's move on to the next part of the conversation. But it just doesn't seem like there's good political goodwill to solve this problem.
I can tell you from the County Assembly of Siaya, we are, because the committee has taken it seriously. We are going to do a fact-finding mission and come up, including everybody else whose statement, we come up with a recommendation that we are going to table in the House, and it will guide
maybe
Chris has something to say.
What Madam might not want to tell you, I've been in this, on 12th or 15th of December, a High Court Siaya ordered for a visit for a mining site in Dori. I was there. One of the MCA was supporting the oppressor. In that team, I was there. I had the video here. I was there with the court, with Deputy Registrar Environmental Court in Siaya, with the OCS for Dori Police Station. I've been there in Ramula, where the sitting MCA is with the Santa. So when you say goodwill, it's led by, expressed by, the governor of Siaya was in the TV, the radio station, expressing on support of Santa. It contradicts the ethos, because when you're looking at your people, a leader is elected to serve their people, but what you share in the public contradict what people are saying, because people are not saying Sunday's bad. People are saying, we are dying, you are being evicted, listen to us, I cry. But today, a lot of young boys in game cannot sleep in their houses because police is now arresting them. They are being arraigned in court case being dropped. It is chaos all over. And that way, if there's a leadership that values the people, they could have called for a dialogue and bring Shanta, a leadership, say, this is what needs to happen to our people. Look at what's happening in neighboring county, like Kakamega. The senator is with the people. When they are rushing, but our people, they are the other side. They peep and they go, they lean back again. They don't want to be seen to be offending the capitalist. So the citizens are on their own. That's why even the debt, because for example, investing in gold is a risky business. These small-scale miners cannot get a loan because that loan is a risky. The chance of getting it back is not easy. If the government of Siaya wanted to help artisan to grow, first they will have put a fund to give these artisan miners loan to do the equipment. 2, they will have supply water, fresh water in this mining site. 3, they will have invested in capital so that these people can go deeper and extract. And the issue of artisan mining is not a Kenyan problem. Globally, it has been accepted that we cannot do away with artisan mining. We only need to reorganize it to benefit the locals. True. So when we advance the capitalists and oppress the locals, Because if you get where the mining is happening, they have been criminalized. No one wants to listen to them. Even the Ministry of Mining say form circles. After forming circles, police arrest you because these people are treated as people selling bangi. They are treated like criminals. So whenever you are found there, so everybody comes from you to get money, police come arrest you. The people who get the best out of it, in those sites where the mining happening, the people who park their cars. You after toiling, they come and pay you peanut to go with them.
Then go with the gold.
Chris, I really agree with you, but then it shouldn't be a case of them against us. Otherwise, we lose it. It can't be that the national government or county government is with the capitalists and therefore the oppressors. We get it wrong. We must sit at a round table because we need investors. We need the resources that come from mining because the people are earning a living. We out of that mining, and like we're saying, we cannot do away with it. How do we do it right? By sitting together and in a round table and agree without antagonizing one group against the other. That's where we go wrong in our communities, where any investor who comes, and the investor would actually come through regulations. But the moment an investor comes, the investor is, from what I see, I'm not right now speaking and saying that I'm on that side, is when an investor comes or whoever wants to regulate, including even the small scale. I have tried to go to my own small miners to try and bring order. And I'm telling you, I end up zero because nobody wants to tell me who is at the top of the ladder. I am seen as an aggressor. What do I have to do in this business? It is ours. Until we start seeing ourselves as co-investors or co-interested parties, we are not going to get this right. But each time and everywhere, including Kakamega, it is them, us against them, and people come and want to talk. The next thing, it is war. People are chasing each other. We are not going to solve the problem. As problem is solved by sitting down the table and agreeing what are the parameters. How can we work this together? How can you bring you as what are you bringing in as an investor? What are we getting out as a community? Then we are going to move. But for now, we won't move anywhere if it's a question of us against them.
Mercedes?
Yes.
I'm sorry, we have to move on with this conversation. Yes. Chris, in the same county, 1 in 4 women are widows.
Yes.
And Mercedes, you addressed this with a bill that you proposed in the assembly.
True.
But why is the life expectancy for a man in Siaya County so low? It's up to 10 to 15 years lower than the national expectancy. Chris, that's to you.
Men are more vulnerable. If you ask me, a study was done by Livium some time back and established that men are more vulnerable than women.
Why?
In Siaya County, because the availability of life hits men. You know, men, when your wife dies, there are things you cannot do. You can fend for water. There are many things you cannot do. So if the system collapse, and the men tend to be blamed all over. If you get an old mzee and an old mama in the community, even children, when you get children, as the children grow, they grow older, they tend to move towards their mothers. And this makes men become very lonely in most of the communities. And that's why that's why they even explain why there are more widows. And that explains that circumstances that surround men. People think that women are vulnerable, but the reality is that men are more vulnerable because the society look at men that you are supposed to not to cry, for example, even if things are bad, even if you are dying of hunger, you are not supposed to ask. The women can ask and they can be given.
In the context of mining, 20 men in 2025 died in those mines.
Yes.
And as you can imagine, the 20 that died, that means more widows in the county. Mercedes, why and how does this manifest in a community when the men are dying at a faster rate, more widows are in the community? I know Justine will have questions regarding that. How does that affect a community growing with less?
The reality is numbers, and the numbers have said that there are more widows than, in fact, probably not more than, but in Siaya, like you're saying, 1 in 4 women, the number is so large. In the rural area, in Siaya, I was even shocked myself. in my ward, I have more than 2,000 widows. And they are all ages. They are young, middle-aged, and the very elderly. And one is a biological reason that women are more resilient than men. I mean, women adapt to situations much faster than men, and therefore the survival rate is higher than men. But then we also cannot run away from the realities that the cultural practices in Luoland 20, 30 years ago, we were very much hit by the HIV and AIDS. And we know the fact that our men were more affected, and because of that, we lost many of our people. We cannot run away from that reality. And it left widows who are now elderly, but very resilient. So the life expectancy for women is higher for the very fact that they are resilient to adapt very quickly as compared to men. Our cultural practices have not been encouraging. With polygamy and wife inheritance all contributed to HIV/AIDS increased cases. And yeah, coming back to the mines, this is another problem. And we've lost young men living behind very young widows. 18, 20, 21. I've buried a young man who left behind a young wife, 20 years. She just was expecting a second child. She had one child. And the situation looked really pathetic. But now, another phenomenon which is coming up right now in the mining sector is that we have women who are now getting inside the hold, the gold shafts. Before, the women would mostly be waiting for the men to go in and come out with the gold, the rocks. But now women are actually daring to go in. Young women are daring to go in, and a number of them have also died in the process. So yes, they're widows, and the main reason that I came up with the bill was that we still have lagging behind in terms of taking care of our widows, and the cultural practices are outdated. They're harmful practices against widows, and that was the motivation for me as a widow myself to come up with that bill to protect the women, the widows, from the cultural practices, but also from inheritance issues, particularly land ownership, which is very strong.
This situation sounds like something that continues to spiral, because I'm pretty sure if you lose the dad of the family, and the mom has to take up so much of the work and the protection and the care for the child, sometimes it also affects the children, and then they end up in the same cycle. So one of the things that the documentary highlights is how a lot of the women who are widowed, because maybe they were very dependent on income coming from the man who was maybe working in the mine, or even if they were harmed in another way, or like they ended up losing their life or passing away, if you're a widow, you have to keep providing for your children and even for yourself. And a lot of them are ending up exchanging sex for high grade. So my question is to both of you, actually. For Chris, is how do you see the extent of this manifest in the daily lives of the community, just beyond the dangers of the mines and how that looks like for the stretch of the community? And then to you, Mercedes, I'll ask what this bill particularly entails and what it hopes to achieve, considering it's such a significant bill in a space where we've seen so much tragedy. What does the bill entail, and also what does the implementation of the bill look like? Yeah, so Chris, you'll go first.
I think, Justin, you are right on the point, because I've gone depth into looking at this impact of this on women and also general community, because there's no part of this society that will live without the other. We must coexist. We can't say the women need to live, the men don't need to live. We are a society, we are an ecosystem. Ecosystem will not be complete without men. Even the bills, when you make bills that are not in a way discriminative. One of the reasons why a lot of laws have been knocked down in the High Court is when you make a bill that look at one society and not the others. That's a fodder for not implementing. But that's not the issue. The issue is if you look at the mining side, beyond the risky going down of the mine, the mercury that is used to wash this gold is handled by the women. It's the women that hold the greatest impact, because if you are a breastfeeding woman, you are in the mercury, your child is breastfeeding in your breast, and you have not washed it because the water is also scarce. So the child is breastfeeding the mercury here in your breast. You yourself, your skin, the chances of your skin being damaged by the mercury is high. You remember you don't drink water because scarcity of drinking water, safe drinking water in this site is a big issue. Yeah. Even in her area, she can attest to that. The availability of water in the site is not there. And even if it's available, it's not clean. If it's available, it's polluted by mercury. And this, if you go to this site where the people are using to, our women are employed here to wash this gold by their bare hands. Sneak the fume from cement, those dust. So the lung problems is going to be. That day we did a survey and we look at the kind of diseases that are prevalent in facilities around this gold mine. What we found out is shocking. A lot of these people, the upper respiratory diseases is on the rise. And they are women. Some of them are young girls who, because the data does not give names, but it gives the population, this kind of population that are affected. You realize that a lot of our young girls might not ever be able to live many years. Or if they live, they'll be perpetually in the hospital. And that's what we are saying. One of the principles of business, and it's called business and human right, is the state has a duty to protect its citizen. The business, even if it's a small-scale business person, has got a duty to respect the community. How do you respect the community? You don't pollute their water. You don't pollute. You don't bring them noise, that ballast that kill their eardrums. You don't, because when you pollute the cow animals that are eating that grass has got polluted by mercury. That cow is sold in the local butchery. To what extent are these things affecting our locals? So if you look at this, the livelihood of these communities, the livelihood is under threat. And that's why you are saying this conversation is a conversation that we must go deeper and hold each one of us that is responsible, accountable. And if we don't do this, because NEMA is here, supposed to look at issue environment. They are slept on the job. The WARMA supposed to protect water resources. They are slept on the job. The county government is supposed to look at environmental concern of the locals and licensed business which are appropriate. They are slept in the job. The police are used to arrest the locals and do traffic charges in the law court. Some of these people, class schools, like if you go to Sakwa, Bimbo area, mining is done even in the school. Who get this money, Mashimeo? In Ramba High School, who allow the mining to happen in a compound of the school? Who is benefiting from this? And this is a conversation we need to have. Because if it's a public learning institution and you are killing these learners and people are celebrating, no one is approaching it, we are turning a blind eyes. Where is the future of Siaya?
I agree.
Yes.
Is learners right now.
Is this new information that a high school is being used for mining?
That for me, that is new, but
yes.
I'm not surprised because it happens every day. My mine is dug. Today you pass there, it's not there. Next day you pass there and there's activity. So yes, and agree. And right now you've got learners who are dropping out of school to go into the mines because they make quick money. That's a concern to me and to the rest of the...
Then the worst is our children who are girls, they are in the mining site. They are lured with easy money.
Yes.
Schooling with a thing of the past. And when a girl gets the money, she will not go to school. And what comes with the money is the disease, is the pregnancy, is a dropout. Beyond and some of these cases are real. The people who have money, they make the women their mothers and their girls. And in a cultural sense, that's the worst. That's a double tragedy. You kill one family because if you are infected, this girl, the mother, this family is gone.
Yeah.
So as leaders in Siaya, I thought this should be our concern, and looking at these issues, looking at a colloquial, and I will call in court to order, because in most cases, courts turn blind eyes. I remember Justice Okongo the other day made a ruling, a very funny ruling. I've witnessed two rulings, one by Justice Okongo in Kisumu Law Court, one by Justice Koros in Siaya Law Court. Both of them Environment and Land Court Division. One allowing the two people without licenses, allowing the other one and debarring the other one. And both of them don't have licenses, don't have permit. So what criteria did he use to allow this and deny the other one?
Mercedes, there's a question Justine asked about the bill that you proposed. And Chris, we'll go back to that, to the companies mining in that area, because it's a crucial part of this conversation. But there was a question
Justine, please just come again.
So I'm very curious about the bill that you brought up. What actually it entails, because I think it's very important for us to have the perspective of, because the number of widows is very high.
Very high, yes.
But at the same time, there needs to be some kind of protection that cascades to make sure that they're not just going through the same cycle again and again. So kindly let us know what the bill entails and what measures and what ways it's going to be implemented, because I think it's also important not just to know the facts of the bill, but also what the plan of action is.
Yes. Yeah. I think the Siaya Widows Protection Bill 2025, which I sponsored, has been assented to and is an act now. It's law, first one of its kind in the country. And the bill itself was informed by the challenges that the widows go through, and the widows in Luo Nyanza go through really harmful cultural rights and practices which have been accepted over time as normal, is the norm. But in reality, they are retrogressive. In reality, they are harmful, and they are clustered as gender-based violence, but accepted because this is our culture. This is Luo, this is how we do our things. So the bill outlaws those harmful cultural practices and names them and says wife inheritance, a lot of practices around the sexual, hinging around sex, forced sexual practices for women, for them to get cleansed, for them to get clearance to till their land, to build a house, to visit outside. Once you are a widow, you have this cloud around you that is has got to be cleansed before you even interact with the rest of the people. There are cultural practices that women do not own property that belongs to their deceased husband. Succession issues. They are denied the rights to control the land, particularly, which is a factor of production. We depend on mostly small-scale farmers. We depend on land, so it's a main factor of production, of earning a living. If it's removed from a woman, then she's helpless, and it's taken away from her. She's not allowed to till it. It is sold without her consent. She's left alone with the widow, with the children, and she's got to just fend for herself. A lot of times, even women are the first suspects. They are the ones who have killed their husbands. They are sent away from home. They are inhuman things that happen to women. You're forced to sleep with some madman just because so that you are cleansed. And those have been practices that have been held high in the society for many years. And now the women have said, no, this has gone beyond. We need our freedom to make our decisions and choices. We need support from the men and from our in-laws, but you don't need to be forced into these cultural practices.
Mercedes.
Yes.
The situation you're describing is very similar to the situation of Angelina Diambo, who's a character in the story that we've just spoken about.
Yes.
She lost 5 of her 6 kids.
Yes.
Presumably because of the Mercury, Chris, you'll say.
Yes.
And
presumably, yes.
Yes. And all 5 are dead. And
Maybe one.
Yeah, just one left. And for most women who have to go into those mines, it's clear to them early on that the mines are the only source of income for them.
Yes.
And your bill seeks to support people like that. And to me, I'm just left wondering, because your bill also includes a committee, there's a fund.
Yes, so I was just going to get that.
Yeah.
To that.
Yeah, please proceed.
And so the bill goes beyond just the outlawing the cultural practice, the forced harmful cultural practices. There's an element of forced for that for in this bill. And so we have put structures right from the grassroots, from the ward level, that we are going to put a widows welfare committee at the ward level and at the county level. And at the ward level and even at the county level, there are going to be widows who are members of those committees. So if a widow feels they are wrong, their rights have been infringed upon, they have a first point of first stop shop at the committee level within their area. They don't have to go far. And they'll find a committee which has got like-minded people, the widows who know the issues of widows, and therefore will take their cases and refer them. If they need to go to the chief, they need to go to the court, they'll hold their hands, they'll be a paralegal on each of the committees who will give them guidance and walk with them through the processes, which women normally fear because they're expensive to go through the legal process. They fear walking through those corridors on their own without being their hand being held. We are also, through those committees, there's a fund, now there's implementation, there's a fund which we have even approved as a county government that we are going to put money every year to support programs supporting widows, especially their economic empowerment. They're going to be put through circles, through groups. They're going to be supported with funds to help them get into gainful activities or employment or activities that bring them income. That committee has actually been mandated to be able to go beyond the seed money that the county is going to be putting there, to go out and look for partners, friends, sponsors who will add into the kitty. And one of the things that they will have to start with is to take a census of the widows. Who are they, where they are, what are their ages, what are the challenges that they're facing. Yeah. They have orphans also. Where there's a widow, they're also orphans. You're going to go through that. We're going to have programs specifically for orphans through the widows. Yeah. That is going to create a revolving fund for women to borrow and return and therefore grow the kitty. But beyond that, there's also going to be a lot of civic education among our people, including men. So men are not going to be left behind to sensitize them why the bill is and why it is good for the widows, so that they support the widows in their families. It's not that we want to separate the widows from their families. We want them to coexist. So the widow still has a voice within that family.
I assume Chris wanted to
interject.
Question.
I tend to think the bill is just a replica of what the Katiba provides.
Yes.
So I think if we have a law that is inconsistent with the National Assembly Act or it's null and void, if it's inconsistent,
if it is
inconsistent.
It is not inconsistent.
I'm just saying, if it's inconsistent.
It is not.
So what new things? But what too, I want to ask Madam here that they need to move pole. Because when you come with a law, that its implementation is difficult. Remember, what you are describing is a money bill.
It is a money bill,
It's
yes.
a money bill.
Yes.
And when you do a money bill,
yes,
there are a lot of factors that you need to put in consideration.
Yes.
Because this bill money bill technically supposed to be introduced the assembly by CC Finance.
It has gone through that.
Is the one to introduce, not
No.
No, that's a procedure. If you get to the procedure
I will
legislation,
I will correct you on that.
money bill, because it's involved, it's a heavy investment
Yes.
that the government need to approve in the cabinet.
Yes.
Then it's being reduced because it's the huge, the investment huge. But that's not for the today. The issue is the bill, if we discriminate a particular society, then you remember the other day a man went to court and said that men are not allowed to inherit their women when they are the property succession issues. It was expressed that for women it's automatic, but for men, for a long time it was not automatic. And the court agreed that yes, this kind of law is in a way discriminating men. And the court reversed and said, okay, both of you, because automatically, if a man dies, the woman automatically is the first person in your line to succeed you. But for a long time, men were not being prioritized there. It's only women. So at that level, women were prioritized. If you look at Succession Act does not discriminate women. Actually, women, if I die today, my wife is the first benefactor, irrespective of.
True.
So those things are the 2010 constitution was progressive, envisaged some of these things. But there are other set of traditions that cannot be legislated. It cannot be legislated. The tradition as norms of way of life that people disagree with and accept. Because if you today, the women cannot be inherited. It's we only inherit property. Those terms have been used indifferently. But when a woman decides to remarry, it's a choice.
So that's not the case that she's speaking
I'm just bringing you the context.
Uh-huh.
The context has been used to criminalize or to say, Luos do this. But even in the olden days, I'm a traditionalist, I'm a culturalist, I know.
I am a widow.
Even the so-called, the what we call inherit, it was not that. It's not overplayed. The woman could decide this, same major that I won't fall to, but some people, in traditional, even passing a cigarette by the window was enough. Even hanging a coat in the house was enough. But when people commercialized, when people brought sex as part of inheritance, the people destroyed culture. It's the Uzunguni part of culture that made culture look bad, but culture is in context, was not bad. But now people join and say, it's bad. But all not said is that women need to be protected, young people need to be protected, widowers also need to be protected because vulnerability has no boundaries. So every member of society that is vulnerable, because the other day I was involved in another exercise that was looking at some vulnerable children to benefit from some scholarship. And you go to a home where there's a widow living in a permanent house, having all set of amenities. You get to a home where there are two, but the mother is there, the father is there, but even eating is a problem.
True.
Okay.
So we need to look at the vulnerability of society that we work towards that.
And we have to wrap this conversation up, Mercedes, but I have this question for you. What's the support like for this bill, particularly by your male counterparts in the Assembly? And secondly, this is a money bill, as he said, which means there has to be funds that are appropriated for this purpose by the cabinet.
Yes.
It's one thing to pass a bill, it's another thing to appropriate for the bill.
Yes.
How about both of those situations?
Okay. Thank you. Chris, I agree and disagree, but that's for another day.
That's for another day. We'll have this conversation another day.
Yes. The bill had actually overwhelming support from our male colleagues. And interesting, when we introduced the bill, our male colleagues, more than half of them, probably 90% of them had their lives impacted by widows. Either they were orphans themselves, they were orphaned when they were young, they were taken care by an aunt who was also a widow. It had overwhelming support, really. And that's one of the bills which sailed through very, very fast. And even we were actually surprised. We thought that we were going to face some hurdles, but
what about the budgetary support?
The budgetary support, the money bill, and I wanted to correct Chris here, it does not have to be approved by, introduced by the CCM Finance. It has got to be, the money element has got to be approved by the CCM Finance, and it went through the process. So it has been approved, and there's No going back, whether we are there or the next assembly comes in. There's been a fund that is going to be established, and there's a budget that is going to be allocated. From the next budget, 2026, 2027, we are going to allocate money, and whoever comes after will allocate money. We recognize that the money that we are going to allocate is not sufficient. That's why there is the leeway for the directorate, which will be established, directorate for widows.
What is the estimated budget?
20 million. That's what we are going to put in first. And the seed money, it's little money. It's good to start. It's a starting point. So the directorate, which has been mandated to be established for widows, will work with a committee to go out there and fundraise. And I'm telling you, I'm a widow myself, and I'm behind that bill 100%.
We'll have. It seems like there's a lot of questions that Chris also wants to ask about this conversation. We can have this
Chris
conversation.
Seems to be
Chris, 30 seconds, Chris.
skeptical about the bill.
I've been in the legislation field for long.
Yes.
And the problem Kenya is facing, we have a lot of legislation that cannot be implemented across both national government and county government. If you look, ask her, if you go to Siaya's County Assembly, you look at how many bills have been passed that I've never seen light of the day. Because as you put it right, when you have a bill, ordinarily you need to have a policy before the bill. Because the policies are broad for focus, then the bill come and close it. If you have a bill without a policy, if you have a bill without regulation, it's dead on arrival. As much as we will score political mileage, but in practicality of implementation
is the biggest.
It's the biggest problem. So we don't pass a bill. I'm not a proponent of passing a bill for the sake of it. I'm passing a bill that meets the threshold, that has the foundation of policy, then you have a regulation, then the bill. Then you have a implementation matrix. Then you can say, this is how you are going to work, how many widows that you want to support, seed money is going to work here, this is how you are going to report. Then, if somebody goes to court challenge the Siaya County Widows Bill, they will succeed in the court of law because it's one segment of the society.
Chris, you were saying something about mining. Again, in 30 seconds. There was something you're saying about companies without permits and...
Yes, the counties, there are a lot of companies without permits because Mheshimiwa is aware. I went to court, and among others, in the court of Siaya Law Court, to challenge the mining that's happening in those areas. And the court agreed, even in the plenary, that they don't have mining, both of them. But court can say because of employment. But you're saying these two companies, one, these people employ, these people employ. But why do you say this one can proceed, you lock this one out? Because it's the corruption that happened in judiciary. And the police, they have the protection. People can come and pollute your water, people pollute your air, people do everything, and they have the police, they have the court. So what I'm saying is that if the Siaya County government want to help the residents, at assembly and the executive and national government, they should do mapping of all licensing that are there in Siaya, call for a thorough meeting with because Mheshimiwa is aware that the CC Environment is the chair of County Mining Committee.
Yes,
and that's a body that brings national government and county government. And this could be the framework to sort this thing out. And that's why I'm saying that there's a lot of weaknesses
within the county.
And the citizens there who their life depend on this, live like thieves in their own area.
Okay.
Yes.
Great way to end this conversation, the first part of this conversation, before we let you both close the whole episode. There is James Okeyo, who comments and says, wonderful bill, which is now an act, one of its kind in Siaya, Kenya, and Africa. And Cape Spring, thank you for watching. But gentlemen and ladies, we have to sadly close this conversation. We'll throw the ball back in both your courts to get your sentiments. But before we end our show, we have two segments. The first one is where we let people who are watching, and you would know this, Mercedes, public participation is very important.
Yes.
For today's public participation, we have two things that are happening in the country. The first one, and both of them fall under the divestiture or the privatization of government entities. You might not know this, but members of parliament are now in retreat at the Lake Naivasha Resort until February 10th. They're retreating from their duties, the same duties that they have successfully abandoned for almost 3.5 years. But they're retreating to speak about issues, and some of those issues will be brought to your attention. We don't have anything fresh to tell you because they're in recess and there's no bills that they're debating. Nothing is being read for the first time or the second time. We might have something after February 10th, but for today, we bring you what we brought to you last week, the divestiture of 15% of government stake in Safaricom. A bit of history here. The government owned 35% before this proposal. Still owns 35% because it's not gone through. It's selling 15%, which will leave it to 20%. The 15% is being sold for over 200 billion Kenya shillings. The government argues that this is more than the valuation in the market right now. It was over 17% more than what the market rates are for the shares of Safaricom at the moment. It's selling it for over 34 shillings per share. It's important for you to know this because Safaricom is the company that you mostly call with. It's the company that you transact your money with. And M-Pesa alone contributed over 600 billion Kenya shillings in 2025 to the Kenyan economy. That's a lot of money. And that money pours back into your pockets. That money is what makes you make these calls, but also that money controls your life. Safaricom controls a majority of the communication data in the country. They hold a lot of the data that could mean life or death to you. And we saw when the company went dark in June 2024, eyes and ears all went to Safaricom for answers. Apparently that was because of a cable cut. The government has one seat in the Safaricom board. Government says that they will maintain that seat and no one will be retrenched. Safaricom employees are safe. The company will still keep its Kenyan social responsibilities and no South African interests will intrude. So by that, I mean that the 15% stake that Safaricom is selling will go to Vodacom. Vodacom is a South African company. Government promises that nothing is wrong. The CBK governor went in front of the committee, said that nothing is wrong. Just recently, Peter Ndegwa, the CEO of Safaricom, said the same thing. But between February 3rd and February 12th, across 30 counties in the country, the government will be holding public participation forums. I'm telling you this because it's important for you to attend these events and voice your opinions. Don't let any legislators tell you what to think. Read for yourself, read the sessional paper that is proposing this to Parliament and see what you feel about it. Is it important? Is it not? Should it go through? Should it not? Serikali wants to hear from you, and it wants to hear from you. I'll mention the 4 biggest cities in the country. Nakuru will have the event held on February 4th, Nairobi, February 3rd. For Nakuru, it will happen in the Rongai NGCDF office. For Nairobi, it will happen at KICC, it's a familiar place. Kisumu on February 6th at Tomboya Labour College, and finally Mombasa on February 13th, Tononoka Social Hall. This is happening across 30 counties. I've just mentioned 4. In those 4 counties, even there'll be more than one public participation forum. Check them out. It'll probably be on your screen by the time you see this, and go to these events, voice your opinions. It's now time for Justine to explain everything badly.
Well, that was overwhelming, Tom, but I hope people go out there. So this week has been difficult. First of all, on Saturday, an accident occurred on the Southern Bypass where a loaded petrol tanker collided with another lorry. The truck driver in one of the vehicles died in this gruesome incident. On the 4th of January, a family lost their 3 children to an accident in Gilgil. All the kids were under the age of 16 years. And lastly, Bill Kaunda, who's a young man living with disability and an organizer for people with disabilities, big advocate for environmental causes, was knocked down while crossing a road. He didn't make it. It's as if in Kenyan roads are meant for those people who know how to fly, because a road user is in an extremely dangerous and draining affair. So if you are chronically online, you've seen videos of border riders experimenting with space and speed, matatu drivers who are very impatient in traffic, so they're using pedestrian paths to overlap like an expressway, and there are very many other countless reckless incidents. According to the national reports, over 4,100 people have died from November 2024 through road accidents. That's a 3.4% jump from 2024. Kenyan road problems are terrible, and I feel like there's an insatiable need for speed, and this isn't even the full picture. Kenyan road culture is terrifying because everyone wants to go somewhere, but no one wants to stop for anyone. So if you look around, where 2 or 3 are gathered, there's a boda coming to join you almost every single time. And it's a terrifying reality. So I feel like it's a buffet for recklessness, and the Grim Reaper seems to be the only winner. Being a responsible Kenyan road user feels like you're in the 7th circle of hell without your consent. Everyone is trying to get somewhere, and you are in the way almost every time. So for people with disabilities, roads are not even designed with them in mind. It's a huge problem. The Persons with Disabilities Act of 2025 mandates inclusive design for all public infrastructure, all of them. However, implementation is not even like in the dreamscape of design. So, and even if it makes it, sometimes you don't see it in the final finishes. And this makes it very terrifying to be a road user if you're a person with disability. And if we really think about it, any spot can be a black spot if you're a Kenyan road user. So upgrading Kenyan roads to safety goes a little beyond just design. I don't think design is enough. NTSA, if you're an NTSA follower like me, NTSA is in a tagging conference daily with members of the public. Members of the public are always, NTSA this, NTSA that. And their decision is to get the drivers that have been tagged, they put them back into classes to receive their licensing exam. And however, passing with driving colors needs to be seen in practice. Maybe hefty fines can help, or better yet, a full shift in our road culture practice where people learn how to drive better. Boarders finally have to accept that having 2 wheels is not being bipedal, and they can leave the sidewalks to the pedestrians. And road designs have to factor everyone in, not just people who can run across the road. So that will ensure safety for all of us. Next up is people are being encouraged to leave their land so that they can get into an affordable housing apartment. I'm not sure if you guys saw, one of the Kenya Power Board members, Joy Mdivo, said that Kenyans need to leave their 2-acre plots that they inherited and move into affordable housing so that the government can use the land that they've left for agriculture. Here's the clip.
For example, a country like the UK, they intentionally zone their lands so people settle in villages and leave agricultural land for agriculture. In Kenya, I don't think so. Kila mtu mogodane title. Once you have your title, you do with it what you want.
Whatever you want.
So unless we start thinking different and making intentional steps. So if we talk about land consolidation, affordable housing is happening. How many of us are willing to leave that 2-acre plot that our father left us, move into an affordable housing plot, and let that land produce food for the rest of Kenyans? Our mindset needs to change. Look at, for example, a country like the UK. They intentionally zone their lands so people settle in villages and leave agricultural land for agriculture. In Kenya, I don't think so. Kila mtu mogodane title. Once you have your title, you do with it what you want.
Whatever you want.
So unless we start thinking different and making intentional steps. So if we talk about land consolidation, affordable housing is happening. How many of us are willing to leave that 2-acre plot that our father left us, move into an affordable housing plot, and let that land produce food for the rest of Kenyans? Our mindset needs to change.
If you've seen that clip, I feel like the feudal kingdom, the feudal United Kingdom is back, but you were never missed, because honestly, Kenya really truly struggles with food insecurity. It's not debatable. We are like someone who is in a bedsitter, and we are in a very codependent relationship with the person who sells chapos. So if they don't cook, we don't eat. And I think that's a bit of a problem. So currently, 2.8 to 5 million Kenyans experience acute food insecurity, usually depending on the season. So if it's drought season, it's worse. 5 million can count as a small village in India or China, but 5 million is a lot of Kenyans. And that's a very worrying number. So but as much as Joy is saying that people should move from their small land so that they can move into affordable housing to have agricultural land. There's a big section of Kenya's arable land is actually held by a very small number of wealthy elites. A very small number. That's 0.1% of all the large-scale landholders control 39% of agricultural land. And most of the land that is being held by very wealthy people is actually idle. Most of the people who farm and consistently are smallholder farmers, or people who are leasing land and they can only lease a very small portion. So most of this land that's being held largely is idle. And I feel like, you know that Lion King thing where some people, like after colonialism ended, were like, wherever your eye touches, or like wherever the sun touches, that's your land. I feel like that's where we are at with how much land is being held and not being used. So the rest of the 98%, the smallholder farmers only hold 46% of land, and they don't get a lot of farming help from the government or even like at any level. They usually struggle a lot, and inputs are very expensive. So her statement actually implies that Kenyans leaving their land will automatically lead to food security, but that lie is as old as like Water Stadium being built in 6 months' time. Honestly, no one actually believes it. So Kenya's food insecurity is structural. We have a lot of climate change issues, and they're affecting different areas. We have expensive farm inputs, and just subsidizing fertilizer is not enough. We actually have a documentary by Uncensored that talks about seed, how seed was, for lack of a better word, colonized, and it became very expensive as an input, and some farmers are just like risking their lives to plant and replant seeds. So all these issues are structural, and a lot of the people who are prioritized are the people who have the biggest farms, and more farmers are being encouraged to take the privatization route instead of us funding cooperatives and having logistics where cabbages are not rotting and becoming fertilizer, instead of actually getting to the markets that need them. So if people purely move to a town that's like if all people move into town, that's de-skilling farmers, because you can't farm in your affordable housing. You'll just be buying food from the people who are supplying it to you. And I think farmers should be prioritized. Small-scale farmers should be prioritized, and we should have more affordable inputs. I think inputs into farming at every level should be cheaper than beauty supplies and wigs at Du Bois Road. Like, they have to come down significantly. And heavy reliance on corporate farming will lead to a lot of soil depletion, and even the nutrition in our shelves will actually greatly reduce, because commercial farming only prioritizes what sells the most. Commercial farming might be good, but how can we structure it to benefit farmers instead of corporations? So, you know, you don't want to have your farmers being divorced from their farm so they can have a long affair with an affordable housing apartment. It's not fair. So if she decides to move into an affordable housing, maybe other Kenyans could follow her. She said what Kenyans need is a change of mindset, but what if the mindset change is who they invest in? Because I think that could really give us good results. Yeah. Going along to good results this week, the High Court declared the Office of Advisors to the President unconstitutional. The President had 21 advisors just hanging around, getting paid close to, I think, $1 million bob, to say things like affordable housing is more effective than paying school fees. I mean, I don't know what they're saying in those meetings. I was just guessing. So the judiciary made a decision that took most Kenyans, I think, common sense to realize you can't have 21 advisors. I'd get 2, you know, because you already have a cabinet. And kwani a cabinet is just like a collection of plates. Like, you can't have all those vessels out there and they're not helping in the advice forum. I think it's better if the advice is taken also from people who are going to implement, the cabinet members. The advisors were costing taxpayers, in the year 2024-2025 financial year, the advisors cost Kenyans 1 billion Kenyan shillings. right now the economy looks like someone refreshed the timeline and we went all the way back to the 90s. So the advisors who have been on the timeline are mad. They're like, we can't lose our jobs. And I'm like, get a job in affordable housing, because that seems to be the priority. But speaking of good news, Kenyans are at it constantly. I saw a video of a young lady. Her name is Harriet Akinyi, who shared her story of how she was struggling to manage this restaurant in Nakuru. She was not getting any customers. It was a very heartbreaking video. And Kenyans in true fashion showed up for her. They showed out like that Manchester United goal this weekend. My goodness. We collected a W. That's a very rare find. You should see our crew. I didn't know there were this many people. I just thought it was Tom that was happy today.
We are legion.
Yeah, but I believe in the true essence of how Kenyans showed up for Harriet Akinyi over the last week is the true essence of Kenyans. So Kenyans, keep showing up. Keep showing up.
It's the essence of being Kenyan. Asante, Justine. That's a lot to handle in 10 minutes. But thank you. Thank you, Justine. Mercedes and Chris, I have one question for each of you. First of all, Mercedes, are we still going to see minors in mines? You lead a caucus which can easily make that stop. Are we still going to see minors who are defiled, because that's defilement?
Minors.
Yeah, there's no consent for minors. Yes, so are we? Oh, yes. So there was that confusion.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean minors, underage girls who are in the mine site and being defiled by minors. You lead a caucus that can easily stop that.
Yes.
Are we still going to see that?
No. We must not have our minors, young girls and boys in the mines. It should stop. And it's up to us as the legislators to work together with the national government, the Ngao, who are in charge of that regulation, to make sure that we go and flush them out.
Chris?
We should not have minors in the mines.
In the mines, yeah.
On 15th December, we visited a mine in Ndori with the local area of MCA. And the court themselves established there and called the miners that were on site. The MC never spoke.
We're going forward.
Never spoke.
It will stop.
And he was on the side of those people.
No, minors. You're talking about
A minor.
A minor.
A young boy.
Must not
A young boy
must not be
in the site. MC of the area was present and turned a blind eye, was supporting the people, employing those people.
No.
And the High Court Register, Deputy Register, had to summon that boy and summon the owners of the people. There are women who are having no gloves in those mining. Across here. The same women we are defending, they're in those mines.
Yes.
And their life is being ruined because they don't have alternative source of livelihood. Can we work for them? Their fish is in the hand of private people. Can we reclaim their fish to give those women? Can we make the women have alternative source of income so that ease them off the pressure?
Let's work together.
Yes.
Together.
It's a brilliant way to end the conversation, Mercedes. No, I think it's a brilliant way to end the conversation. You both are being on the same side. So this is obviously a conversation that cannot be had and be completely dusted in 1 hour. So maybe we'll have this conversation again in the next financial year, when we'll see if that 20 million was appropriated for it.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Chris, for making time.
You too, thanks.
Asante sana for Mercedes. Both of you came from really far to get here, so we deeply appreciate both of you.
I wanted to say one word that I'm committing here to Chris and all of us. We are going to have regulations for the Siaya Widows Protection Bill, which then will guide the implementation. I tell you, I agree that there are many others that are not being implemented, but the Widows Protection Bill will be implemented. It's not inconsistent with the law. It's in our cultural practices are the ones which are not inconsistent with the law. And this bill is bringing it out so that our people understand that there's a law that governs the rights of the women who are widows. That's why we're having our widows now being taken advantage of in the mines, being taken advantage of in the fishing industry. There's fish for sex, there's mine for sex, everything, and widows are more vulnerable because they have no choices.
We'll hold you to that the next time you're here.
Yes.
But asante, both of you again for making time.
Pleasure.
Justine, thank you for being the awesome co-host that you always are. Are you hopeful? This was a
little bit.
conversation.
The conversation was very dark at some point,
Yeah.
but then there was consensus at the end. So I'm very hopeful. And when they Mercedes, maybe I am a proper hater. I follow up on things even when people forget. So I will find you.
That's a threat. I will find you.
No, it's not a threat. It's something
holding
to
people
look
accountable.
forward to.
Yeah. You hold me accountable. I say it. I'll do my bit. I'll do my part.
Yeah.
I may not succeed, but I will do my
We'll
part.
try. Yeah. And Chris will be there to hold you accountable.
Yes.
We are going to work
For
together.
sure.
You have no choice.
I agree.
But I don't want people who don't commit to their word.
Try me.
We'll litigate. We'll drag you the court of law.
Yeah.
So that to show you the direction.
Okay.
We don't need the
Brilliant.
courts. We don't need the courts.
Brilliant.
No.
Asante both of you for making time, and thank you for watching us. Big Picture will be back next week. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you so much for waiting for me. Nimeshukuru sana.
Asante.
Everywhere there's meaning.
Shit.
Unaona hiyo shimo ya nini? Unapata watu wanatongozana hapo kwa shimo.
Vijana barubaru ndio wanafanya hiyo kazi, sio kazi rahisi. Wanataka wakutumie, like anakupatia mawe na yeye anataka lale na wewe ndio akupatie mawe.
So the resource that people have is a curse to the community.
Hawa wanaume anapoenda every site lazima apate mwanamke ambaye atakuwa anakupatia mawe. Hautakuwa na kazi ngumu, sasa inakuingizia kwenye usherati. Sex for gold.